Computer. No, I'm not about to weep for Tucker Carlson. He did this to himself. And what is he complaining about? You wanted the attention. You got it. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. And of the threats and of the sleeper cells, we will get into that right now. The radio show is here. Let's begin. The people over there at ABC are reporting that Iran may be activating sleeper cells outside the country. No. Is that right? Sleeper cells. Huh. Well, I guess that means that these cells existed long before the United States and Israel engaged the attack. I guess Iran has been a threat for far longer than maybe some people on the woke right or the political left realize. I, for one, am shocked. You are not, because you're a normal person. Tony Katz, that is me, by the way. Tony Katz Today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Find everything I do over at TonyKatz.com, live streaming on the YouTube, on the Twitter X, on the Facebook, on LinkedIn. Just look for me and you will find this fantastic show. We know that the Iranians have put in a new leader. This new leader is the son of the Ayatollah. We know that he is a hardliner. We know that he is well entrenched with the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Mojtaba Khamenei, Mojtaba. He is the new supreme leader, which means he has to go. Because in order for any of this to be successful in this attack on Iran, there can be no remnants of the Ayatollah, the Ayatollah's family, or anything like it in power. They simply cannot be a part of the equation. We know that right now America is taking a look at oil prices that are through the roof. We know that over the weekend, we saw, maybe it was Friday it ended this way, $120 a barrel on the West Texas crude, never mind the Brent crude, and there were just pennies separating them. The Brent crude, which comes out of the oceans, usually like $3, $4, $5 within that range, higher than the West Texas crude per barrel. This was within pennies. We saw it over $100, well cracking $100, and at some moments, just below $100. President has spoken out against this and said it's a small price to pay. Short-term oil prices, wrote the president on Truth Social, which will drop rapidly when the destruction of the Iran nuclear threat is over, is a very small price to pay for USA and world safety and peace. Only fools would think differently, he added, in all caps, to let you know he was serious. Well, you got to go out there and sell that, Mr. President. You got to go out there and explain it to people. And it's very hard to sell something to people when the only thing they're hearing is the Tucker, Megyn, Candace, Dave Smith set saying, this is a forever war and Israel's leading us into war. God, is that dumb. Now, I want to make sure that I'm clear about something. It is a ridiculous argument that I'm more than happy to counter with facts, logic, and reason. Do you think that Israel needed to drag, like it could drag, Donald Trump into war if there weren't already other threats out there? No, Israel has been discussing the threat that is Iran for years, even when other nations didn't want to discuss it, because it's Israel that was constantly under threat and other nations not realizing that the threat was coming to them. And now I have the conversation of sleeper cells. The U.S. has intercepted encrypted communications believed to have originated in Iran that may serve as a, quote, operational trigger, unquote, for sleeper assets. The alert, which was reviewed by ABC, cites preliminary signal analysis of a transmission likely of Iranian origin. Yes, it's a terrorist regime, it's a terrorist organization, supporting other terrorist organizations, engaging in acts of terrorism against the United States and anybody who might be against them. Oh, let's just call them Israel. No wonder we both have a very, very keen interest in taking out the Iranian regime. And only the ridiculous person who refuses to recognize reality would say, this is ridiculous, this is preposterous, this is just a forever war. Well, there are no sleeper cells. There is no proof of this. I take you now into the flashback. How do I do this, Producer Landon? I got to do this full Wayne's World style. Is that, am I doing it right? Or is it more like, is it that? Or is it, no, it's not like that. You sound like you're on a video game when you do that. Right? Right? Anyway, this was all of like 6-7 months ago. This was Tucker Carlson on his show talking to Ted Cruz. Now, you'll remember that interview because Ted Cruz didn't know how many people lived in Iran. You want to go to war with this country. You want to go to war with them. You don't even know how many people live there. I don't even know how you can do that. It's like totally preposterous to me. It doesn't even make sense to me. I don't even understand why that is. That is my Tucker impression. It's not bad. It's not great. It's not bad. Like, you get the general idea. I could do better. I'm no Rich Little. Rich Little reference. Dear Lord. The average age of the audience is 92,000 years old. Tucker is interviewing Ted Cruz. This is how the conversation went.
But I just want to pull that thread because it's so important. I voted for Donald Trump. I campaigned for Donald Trump. Yeah. He's our president. And we're on the cusp of a war. So if there's evidence that Iran paid hitmen to kill Donald Trump and is currently doing that, where's that? Like, what are you even talking? I've never heard that before.
Okay.
Where's the evidence? Who are these people? Why haven't they been arrested? Why are we not at war with Iran?
That's a great question to ask.
How do you know that that's true?
We know that it's true because we have been told that by the military and our intelligence community for the last 2 years.
We meaning who?
Congress has and the public. I mean, we had multiple testimonies. I can send you testimony.
Do we know the names of the people or where this happened or what they tried to do to kill Trump?
We have not apprehended an Iranian hitman trying to kill him. We know that Iran is trying to do so.
In the United States?
Yes. And by the way, like Iran...
This just seems like a huge headline, and you're acting like everyone knows this. I didn't know that.
Iran put out a whole video about murdering Trump.
Right, but I've never heard evidence that there are hitmen in the United States. I mean, trying to kill Trump right now. We should have a nationwide dragnet on this, and we should attack Iran immediately if that's true.
Is that right? We should attack Iran immediately if it's true that there are people out there trying to assassinate the president of the United States. Okay, this is from the BBC, although you can find it in any news outlet. Pakistani man found guilty in Iran-backed plot to kill U.S. politicians. Asif Merchant is his name, a 47-year-old, hired a hitman in New York to kill American officials and targeted U.S. President Donald Trump in 2024. Ta-da! You think we're surprised by sleeper cells? You didn't know this, Tucker? Now, I'm going to get into a whole conversation about Tucker. I want to be clear. I will not listen to him complain about how he's treated. Tucker, you did this to yourself. This is the conversation you wanted to have. We're more than welcome to have it. You're the one embarrassing yourself. You're the one who is shameful in your nonsense, in your falsehoods, in, my God, a bad weekend of being shown how, I believe the word would be, hypocritical. You are contradicting yourself almost by the day. The problem is Tucker reaches a lot of 22-year-olds and 19-year-olds, and we have to do something about that by sharing a different message that is far more clear and far more honest. It's okay to recognize that there are enemies in this world, and sometimes you're going to have to kill that enemy. And even though you don't want to go to war, sometimes you have to go to war, and that's what grown-ups do. Children who somehow think that if you leave everybody alone, they're going to leave you alone, end up dead. And I know this because there are sleeper cells in the United States that have now been activated. And if you say to me, well, Tony, you don't know if they've been activated, I know that this guy just got sentenced for trying to kill Donald Trump in an Iranian-backed plot. I don't know what else you need. How many bullets do you need to have? How many bullets need to be fired at the president of the United States before this woke right and the political left says, maybe we've got a problem here? My answer is 0. Maybe just kill the terrorists before they get a chance to take a shot. Could we please be thinking about this and talking about this rationally? Why does the woke right and the political left, why are they so desperate? Why is the Megyn Kelly set so absolutely desperate for today's America to constantly live in fear of what the terrorist regime of Iran might do? Tony, if they're not living in fear, what a ridiculous amount of fear-mongering. The cells are here. And every rational person knows it, and every irrational person is named Dave Smith. They're here. We've got plots to take out the president. And your answer is do nothing. They didn't bother us. Why is Israel dragging us into this war? Maybe Israel was right, that Iran is a threat, and maybe finally we have a president who's willing to recognize that, you know what? These people are a threat. Maybe he's not Joe Biden. Maybe he's not the BS artist, Barack Obama, an absolute coward who signed a so-called Iran nuclear deal that gave them the opportunity to build a nuclear weapon. Barack Obama did that. And the Bedrhodes, Tommy Vitor bullcrap set, those people should not be listened to because they've been wrong about everything. You're a 20-something. You want to start your life. I think you're better off starting your life without the threat of these terrorist low-life sons of you-know-whats. And to remove them, it's going to involve missiles and guns and soldiers. You don't want to send these people into war. You're not wrong for that feeling. Allow me to be the guy who says you're absolutely right for that feeling. But that's the difference between what we want and what is. The difference between the fantasy and reality. The reality is the terrorist organization that is the Iranian regime, supporting Hezbollah, supporting Hamas, supporting sleeper cells, supporting plots against President Donald Trump, they're here now. And what you want, what we all want, which is to be left alone, doesn't match up to the reality of what they want and what they're doing. So we have to turn to these men and women in uniform with all that training and all that hardware and say, now is the time. The time was 10 years ago, by the way, guys. The time was 20 years ago. The time was long before you were born. We didn't do it. We did not handle it the way we should have. Here we are now. Not because we want to be, but because we need to be. The Iranian regime needed to go. These terrorists need to be destroyed. They need to be stopped. And for the record, we're still going to have problems. Well, the cells would have been activated if Trump hadn't. That's a nutty argument. That's a nutty argument. The people threatening you somehow wouldn't be threatening you if you didn't do something to make them threaten you, even though they were already threatening you, is weird. You think this is because America's over here, America's over there? These Shias want a worldwide caliphate. What are we talking? Are we pretending things are when they aren't? That's so wrong. Let's not. So, we know that there are these cells. We believe it because we have now seen it. We know that there have been plots put forth by the Iranian regime. We know this. We know that just 6 months ago, Tucker Carlson was all about, well, if they're trying to attack the president, we should go get them. We should take these people out. Right. That's what we're doing. So why is the Tucker, Megyn set so upset? Why is the woke right so upset? Look what they're doing. Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we protect us? Why shouldn't we try and ensure a better future for people like in their 20s who are trying to start their future? Why would anybody be opposed to this? As a matter of fact, maybe you should ask yourself that question a little bit more. Why would they be opposed to this? What's it in their interest to be opposed to this? What do they gain? What do they get? Is there a financial incentive? Is there an incentive to seeing America hurt or harmed that they have? Because I want to see America thrive, and I want people who are starting their lives to actually be able to, start them. It's a worthwhile question, I guess. You can ask them. I don't know if they'll answer. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz Today. Good to be with you. Who in the chat room is called Libertarian? First of all, good to see you, man. Who are we calling a moron? I don't think you mean me. You might disagree with me, but I don't think that you've been here too long for that. Here was the best one. I want to know what this was. You're crashing, spelled Y-O-U-R. Who's crashing and what is the subject? I'd be curious to know. Thank you. Can I just say that the circuit for the Grand Prix, IndyCar Grand Prix in DC is awesome. It is fantastic. And pit lane is unbelievable. Pit lane is on Pennsylvania Avenue. Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool. Yes, Alec Pierce is re-signing with the Colts. All he had to do was say, hey, I'm taking a look at free agency. And the Colts are like, here's the bank account. Now the question is, are they going to get rid of Michael Pittman? Because I don't think that's a good idea. Can we get Stephon Diggs? Steven, you've never been to the Indy 500? Steven, first of all, I had never been until I moved to Indianapolis. The Indy 500 is unbelievable. I get to be the voice. I do the morning show, the pre-race for the Indy 500. Awesome. Let's get back to the show. Sports world is blowing up. So you've got the Dolphins. They are getting rid of Tua. Then you've got the Colts re-signing Alec Pierce, the wide receiver. But they may not have a quarterback because it seems like Daniel Jones wants every dollar the Irsay family has. Tony Katz today. How much did Daniel Jones want? So they offered him a 3-year, $100 million deal. And he wants, that's like Sam Darnold money. That's the way I saw it. They were offering him Sam Darnold's kind of money, who just won a Super Bowl with the Seahawks. And he wants, what, $50 million a year? I'm sorry. Daniel Jones, I don't know about that. Yeah, Pierce got a 4-year, $116 million deal. $30 million a year. Good Lord, that is nuts. And then, it's so awesome. So, you've got the UFC card that just got announced for the White House, which is going to be terrific. Someone asked me, hey, Tony, do you know anybody, and get us some tickets to the UFC at the White House? And I said, no, I don't have Trump on speed dial. No one's getting tickets. Hottest ticket in all of sports will be the UFC on the South Lawn. It's going to be crazy. But you do have this right here. Now, I'm an Indianapolis guy. You guys know that. So IndyCar, I love, and the Indy 500, where I get to be the voice of the pre-race. You have the Freedom 250 Grand Prix, 1.7 miles, 7 turns, but a ton of straightaways, a ton, including going from 9th to 3rd down Pennsylvania Avenue, heading towards the Capitol. It is awesome. Pit Lane is on Pennsylvania Avenue. That is going to be nuts. Now, that's going to be in August. It's going to be super hot, which is going to change the whole race complexion, by the way. The tires run different. The cars run different. And if it's humid, it can get very weird. And with that level of straightaway, they can pick up speed. But with the humidity, it has a huge effect on how you run the engine, how you run the tires, how fast you feel you can go. But there is a lot to see. There are a lot of good places. They're going to cross the National Mall twice. They go around the National Archives, down Pennsylvania Avenue, that first turn onto 3rd Street, and then making it onto Independence. It's going to be unbelievable. That is worth going to. That you can get tickets to. UFC on the South Lawn. There, the way. No, don't ask. I'm not even going to try to make a phone call. It's never going to happen. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz today. I am shocked. First things first, producer Landon. 7 turns. That's it? Is that standard for a Grand Prix? This is 1.7. This is when 1.7 going on right here. I'm curious as to what the standard would be. And also, I was just saying 7 turns. That's probably right. It's just there's a ton to see. Like, there are a ton of places you're going to be able to see this thing. And that's what's very cool. There's a lot of viewing that can take place here. And if I'm IndyCar, like, I'm not Formula One-ing this thing. I want everyone to see this. I want everyone to see every part of it. So this could be very cool. We got Major Mike Lyons coming on the show. Get some updates. There he is right there. There we go. There we go. And let me check this right here. So Grand Prix, wait, Steven, give me data on that. A Grand Prix is usually 10 turns? Show me. I just want to make sure I've got it. Make sure I've got it all together. Let me make sure I've got this. And there we are. And let me do this right here. Look at him. Major Mike Lyons, retired United States Army military analyst. Now you're live on the live stream, so don't curse.
All right.
None of those out of, poor taste jokes that you like to tell about all sorts of people that I claim that you say all the time that you never have.
Okay, perfect.
How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
We've had a little problem connecting. You've been busy and doing work, and I'm happy to see you doing more on this. Really, I'm very interested in this conversation that's been coming up, and we'll be back on air in about 35 seconds about Chinese armaments, specifically Chinese missiles that allegedly are now in Iranian control.
Mm-hmm.
That they supposedly have been using, but to what effect? And I texted you this earlier, and your response. I'm going to give you a response if that's okay.
Yeah.
And you're like, do they ever work? Which is a really great question about the idea of China as paper tiger.
Right.
And does this war expose more than we realize? And what do we utilize to our advantage? So stay right there, sir. Sure. I'll bring you back in just 30 seconds. So the war in Iran continues. And yes, I say war. And yes, other people are going to say conflict because no war was declared. You need Congress to declare war. The president has not violated any laws nor the Constitution by engaging in this action. The War Powers Act gives him every right to do so. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. But it's just like in the same way that the White House and the Israelis won't refer to this as regime change. Rather, it's setting up the conditions for regime change. It's regime change. And I don't think we should lie to each other about anything. It is what it is. The question is, what is winning? Now, I believe it is the full annihilation of the Ayatollah and the regime until there's nothing less, and the people instituting a government that I might disagree with, but that is indeed theirs and not Islamic. Others may see it differently. How does the United States continue to maneuver? And do they have to be considering getting out? And what have we learned on the world stage? Major Mike Lyons joins me right now, retired United States Army military analyst, does work with West Point. And sir, I appreciate you taking the time. It's good to see you. I think that there have been a lot of questions of, will we see boots on the ground? What is the exit strategy? I'm not so sure one needs an exit strategy at the moment, but it's never a bad question. Is it the feel that this was a rushed operation by the Trump administration, or is the feeling amongst the people you speak to and the connections you have that this was always the plan? There was a plan pulled out of a drawer, tweaked, and someone said, meaning the president, okay, let's go do this thing.
Hey, Tony, thanks for having me. Let's you and I today coin a new phrase, not regime change, but regime compliance, because that's really what we're trying to do here. Okay. Look at Venezuela. Maybe that is the model here, and happened so swiftly and so smoothly. We found the right individual within Venezuela that was of that same regime, but is looking to comply with what the United States is trying to do. So in this particular situation, the United States uses war as an extension of foreign policy, can't get the Iranians to negotiate off their nuclear capability, recognizes that they're at their weakest moment in history with regard to any kind of military capability, and uses it as a leverage to try to get regime compliance. And so while the president said that he would be involved with anybody who takes over, maybe somebody from this current regime will be that person that stands up and says, we surrender. That would be the smartest thing they could do, because putting America on your side is always good for your long-term interests. So again, this was always coming. 6 months ago, Operation Midnight Hammer was the beginning of it. But we're settling old scores, right? This president, remember at the end of The Godfather when Michael Corleone took care of all family business? That's what's happened in the last year with the Trump administration. Venezuela, Iran, Cuba's next. And I think this is all part of a plan that they're executing on, frankly, brilliantly.
Quick offshoot on the Cuba question. You don't subscribe or ascribe to the idea of military adventurism when we talk about the friendly takeover of Cuba?
Well, it's not military adventurism if the military is used as the cudgel and as the effect to get the kind of behavior we want out of the administration. Again, regime compliance. That's all we're trying to get Cuba to do. Trying to kick out the Chinese, kick out communist partners that they have. So that's the purpose of the military. It serves as a extension of our foreign policy. It's finally being used. I mean, I've watched the last 40 use. Republicans and Democrats alone fail miserably at it. Iraq, for example. Iraq was about regime change. Saddam Hussein's got to go. In fact, the regime changed so much, we fired everybody and completely destroyed the army. Well, look what that ended us with, a terrorist operation. Look what that ended up happening. So we don't not necessarily regime change. We want regime compliance. We'll have a deal with Cuba that likely doesn't mean a single soldier or a single shot is fired, but it's just in their best interest to comply at this point.
Talking to Major Mike Lyons, retired United States Army military analyst. Now we're going to debate this idea of compliance versus change in the future, but let's head back here to what we're seeing in Iran, and you saying that this was started with Operation Midnight Hammer. Mm-hmm. The argument amongst the social media sets, whether you've got the political left or you've got the woke right, is that Israel dragged the United States into this. That's their continual argument. What say you to that?
Yeah, no, not a chance. Iran, we've talked about, greatest foreign policy failure, post-World War II, 47 years they've been at war with us, have killed Americans in the past, and we've just put up with it. And I think this administration looked at this situation on the ground right now, saw Iran at its weakest. We were going to have a conflict with Iran at some point. It's just a matter of when. And so the fact that we're aligned with Israel, who's at its strongest now, look at the tactical and strategic mistake Hamas makes attacking October 7th, and look where we are now, 3 years later with the situation with Iran, how Iran has sponsored that whole situation. So this is the time again to settle all scores and bring the Middle East back to some level of peace. It's waiting with the Abraham Accords. Everything is on the doorstep. So no, Israel did not drag us into this. We were eventually going to have a conflict with Iran at some point, and if we're going to have that conflict, we might as well do it when Iran's at its weakest.
Talking to Major Mike Lyons, retired United States Army military analyst. Let's talk about China. And, one of the things that's true, and you were one of the first people to bring this up, The Chinese saw what we did with Nicolas Maduro, and they said, that's impressive. The world saw exactly what the United States can do when it applies itself. Now you see what's happened with Iran. Does China say the same thing?
It's in their best interest that they should. And Donald Trump, when he meets with the Chinese leaders, I guess in the end of this month or next month, they'll have a lot more leverage, considering that the United States, when the situation goes in Iran well, and will control a lot of more than that we have right now, really has China's energy security in the palm of our hands. Hard to say that would have happened 6 months ago. But the fact that we've stopped these ghost shipments coming from Venezuela, then unsanctioned oil that they were taking from there, and then plus 20% of whatever they're getting out of the Strait of Hormuz and the Middle Eastern spot. Now, again, that's got to be fixed. We recognize that this commodity is very volatile, and shutting down the straits hurts India, Japan, hurts some of our Eastern allies as well. But China now is really coming to grips with the fact that when the United States says it's going to do something, it's going to do it. And so it should pay attention. It's proven its military equipment is not up to speed. And that's because it's likely copied from U.S. factories, but they didn't get the whole thing, and then they try to improvise.
Now, wait, you're jumping ahead of me, but you brought it up, so let me go with you. The talk was that the Chinese dropped off a lot of missiles to the Iranians, helping them gear up in case this moment would come.
Yeah.
The talk after that has been that the Chinese missiles have failed spectacularly, and that this is an incredible embarrassment for the Politburo, for Xi Jinping. What Chinese weaponry, if any, has been used, and what is the take on its efficacy?
Well, they have had some missiles deployed there that have not gotten through, have not failed in that regard, but mostly their air defense systems. In the last 6 months, the air defense systems that they deployed were used to reestablish what they had prior to that Midnight Hammer attack, along with what Israel did back in June. And they failed miserably. They were out in the first 48 hours. I mean, that's just not heard of, unheard of. If you want to be a superpower, you have to be able to project power. And if you can't project power to your proxies, like they've tried to do, then frankly, you're not a superpower. For whatever reason, we've given up this century to the Chinese. You've just acquiesced and said that because of the billion people they have, or their technology, or their manufacturing, they tried to get upstream in all our supply chains, and that's over now as well. So to me, this is such a pivot point within our history, on the history of our country. 250 years young the United States is, but we're not giving this century up for 1 second to the Chinese. And so I think that's the message that they're going to get received.
So I don't know if it was John Yoo or Gordon Chang,
Mm-hmm.
and I agree with this, and I've said this before, that I believe China is a paper tiger.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of bluster, a lot of screaming, a lot of tough guy. Can they actually take a punch to the nose? They build aircraft carriers. They can't take off from an aircraft carrier. They can't necessarily land on an aircraft carrier. This is hard technology. They steal a tremendous amount, as you were mentioning. They don't create a tremendous amount of things. They only take. So if you're the rest of the world watching this, and you are looking at things and believing as you are, that China has shown themselves to be a little bit incapable here and not as strong, and they are now behind the 8 ball, and now they're looking in that weaker kind of position. What is the effect on, for example, Taiwan's safety and security, or security of the Pacific Rim in general?
Well, the Chinese could learn a lot from Russia, and that is they can influence Taiwan without taking it. I don't understand this desire or this need to necessarily do that. And what I mean by Russia is Russia decides to invade Ukraine. They really didn't have to. That area in the Donbass, they controlled all the politicians. They controlled a great portion of what was going on inside the Ukraine governments, but that wasn't good enough. Well, I'd give the same advice to the Chinese. There's no reason to start a conflict over that. Destroying Taiwan doesn't do any good. And then take it a step further now back, that I'm not sure they can do now anyway, without the energy security that's required. You want to start a war, you better have oil reserves, and you better be able to support this conflict if it goes for a long time. So I think the Chinese, which are passive anyway in terms of how they think, are going to really rethink about all of their actions when it comes to projecting power in the Pacific.
Before I let you go, Major Mike Lyons, retired United States Army, you talk about regime compliance. If that is indeed the case, there's a real question about boots on the ground. Because in order to get regime compliance, are we making the argument that the IRGC gets to stay and terrorize these people? Because that doesn't seem to be something that Americans would be super keen on. Do you see a situation where in order to get that compliance, I still don't know if I totally buy into the term, where we see American boots on the ground, or would this be NATO boots, or are there any boots on the ground?
So, yeah, regime compliance, meaning that we're not going to parachute some leader in from the outside like happened in 79 when Khomeini came back and took over. So I think that's what I mean. This person will come from within is what's important. But boots on the ground, right? There's an implied task there. No one wants to talk about this, but there's an implied task of having troops, U.S. troops, somebody to go and check out these nuclear facilities to make sure that they've been destroyed, to make sure that that capability is gone. I think that's going to be insisted upon. Whoever, again, finally does surrender, that'll be part of the deal that we'll have to make with that person. But again, boots on the ground doesn't mean large formations, the 1st Armored Division, 360 main battle tanks, Bradley fighting vehicles, air defense platform. That's not what that means. But I do think that there's going to be small unit troop, JSOC level, special operators that are going to have to go check to make sure that they're in compliance for what we want them to do.
U.S., Israeli, NATO, who?
All of the above. And you know what? This is going to be victory has 1,000 fathers, defeat is an orphan, to quote JFK. Once this victory has been established, everybody will be in the game. The British will be back. The French will be back. Everybody will going to want a piece of this. So buckle up. We'll have to see what their actions are going to be.
Maybe not the Brits. Maybe they can sit this one out. Major Mike Lyons, retired United States Army military analyst. I appreciate you being with us. More to come. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Clear from the radio, sir. Thank you.
Hit. That was a good hit.
We're still live streaming. So,
oh, sorry. Yeah, that was a good hit. I'm glad you guys liked it. That was a great hit.
Yeah. Well, man, you're becoming a pro at this.
No. We covered a lot of good stuff that no one's talking about. That's the main thing. It's no one's talking about it. This is gonna go. It's gonna go well. It's just early. It's early in the process. So,
but you've already got the people who are screaming about for forever wars and.
It's not forever. Again, it's the same playbook. It's the same old. Did you watch Hegseth last night? They've learned everything from what already happened. They're not repeating these mistakes again. There was no banners going up about mission to none of that's happening again. So no, but everybody wants that to happen so they can throw beer at the bleachers and saying that that's happening. Like, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen.
I want you to be right. So far, so good. I'll let you go. We'll connect soon.
Sounds good, Tony. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, that's Major Mike Lyons right there. Good man. Good people. All right. Excellent work, guys. Stay right there. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. There's actually a presser going on in D.C. about the IndyCar race. Michael Pittman did go to the Steelers. A lot of movement in the NFL going on. By the way, Colts fans, if you're out there, if we don't get Daniel Jones back, if somehow that doesn't work, Kyler Murray's out there. No one's picked up Kyler Murray yet, have they? Malik Willis, the backup to the Packers. Yeah, I'd take him too. There's a case for him over Jordan Love. So busy day. We might need to get JMV on and break some of this down. If it's good, I mean, it's today today's the start of the trade, right? Oh, and Kenneth Walker, who was the MVP of the Super Bowl for the Seattle Seahawks, just signed with Kansas City. Yeah, I knew Kelsey was coming back. Knew that was happening. Crazy day. The Dolphins sent Fitzpatrick to the Jets. Good Lord. A lot of moves. Good gosh. Wait, Mike Evans has moved? Okay, so they're only talking about the possibility. They're not saying it happened yet. I'm going to share with you the audio, the embarrassment for Adam Schiff. Now, I don't think there's any cursing in this, producer Landon, but finger on the dump button just in case. This was Bill Maher's show, real time.
All behind us.
Did you hear this? This was something else. This is Bill Maher asking Senator Adam Schiff a question.
Statement from the administration. The president had the constitutional authority to direct the use of military force because he could reasonably determine that such use of force was in the national interest. That's too vague for you?
Totally vague.
Okay, because that's from Obama about Libya.
Well, Obama made the argument initially that he could go into Syria without an authorization. I and many others pushed back on that argument. Ultimately, he did not go forward with going after Assad, even though Assad was gassing his own people, because he thought he might lose the vote in Congress.
So Congress was unwilling to say Assad had to go, even though he's gassing his own people. It's none of our concern. The argument here is that the War Powers Act allows the president to engage in actions. And the idea that something is too vague is not necessarily a fact when we're talking about an act versus the idea of declaring war, which is a different action altogether. Obama did it, and then it's like, well, actually, Obama did it right. It's the same sentence. It's the same statement. You say the statement is vague, way too vague because you thought it was Trump. When Obama said it, well, you see, he did it different. Stop it. The same rules applied. And if Congress wants to get rid of the War Powers Act, get rid of it. Go right ahead. Can't stop you. You're the members of Congress. You're the ones who can do this. Go ahead, do it. Knock yourself out. But don't say when it's Trump, it's too vague, and when it's Obama. Well, you see, he was really smart. By the way, you got to give Schiff credit. He was able to turn on a dime the minute he heard that. And he never asked himself, wait, is that factual? Hold on, let me see. Give me this. Never wanted to engage that way. And if you think a statement is too vague, you say, whoa. I don't care who said it. The statement's too vague. Then you go into it. But, the whole line, it's only bad because Trump is doing it. We see you. We see you, Adam Schiff, and we think you're full of it. Completely full of it. Because you are. Oh, you also lied about Russia. And for that, you should be thrown out of the Senate. Keep it here. It's Tony Katz today. Oh, now all the Colts people are yelling at me. They got rid of Pittman. Yes, Michael Pittman is going to the Steelers. Michael Pittman had a chance to get paid. And I always liked Pittman. I don't necessarily see the value in this. Maybe it's moving Josh Downs up to that number 2. Maybe there's an opportunity for some other receiver talent here to play a very, very large-scale role. There's about to be someone picked up in this free agency. Maybe they've got somebody who they're trying to develop out. It won't be A.D. Mitchell, but it'll be somebody. So, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the break because the radio show is in break right now. So we will take the break. Keep it here. Smoke them if you got them. Can I tell you? So people have been asking, Tony, I haven't seen you with a cigar for a while. Nothing's changed. It's that. So I had this week and a half of a cold. And it's been very weird. My desire for a cigar has been down. I don't know why. Just did. I'm still smoking. Still enjoy it, but just I find myself involved in other things. I'm like, no, not right now. Maybe later. I don't know. Maybe it's some remnant that's still there. I'm not sure. I am not sure, but anyway, still plenty of cigars to be had, and Eat, Drink, Smoke continues to grow. Guys, we are going to take the break. The radio show is in break, so smoke them, as I said, if you got them, and we'll be back in just a little bit. Keep it here. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Okay. So the House is in session, but that's not our concern. Let us dig in on a little bit of this Tucker talk, if we shall, and the reason why this matters. That's what's coming up. I'll be shedding no tears for Tucker Carlson. He has done this to himself. And when I see him out there saying to Megyn Kelly, and everybody's after me. I don't know why they're after me. It's just, I'm speaking honestly. I don't even understand. How dare anybody make the claim that somebody disagreeing is simply unacceptable? How dare anybody claim that someone noticing a serious change in someone's point of view isn't worth noting? And how dare someone who has worked so hard to build such an audience think that somehow people aren't going to listen? Tony Katz today. I forgot if I said hello. I forget sometimes, but it's good to be with you. I bring this up because there has been a serious number of clear contradictions that Tucker has engaged in over and over and over again. And all this has to do with Israel. And some people wonder, is he broken? Is he bought and paid for? Is he paid for by Qatar? I have absolutely no idea. And I continue to say, I have no idea. I don't know. All I know is that him and Megyn Kelly, I don't know what their plan is. And I will admit that with Megyn Kelly, who I've never met, I never figured out how she got the second chance. I still don't get it. There she is on Fox, and she was massive. And then she holds the debate. She's the host of the debate, the moderator, proper word, with Trump in that first term, and she's a mess. She was argumentative. It was ugly, and it was unforgivable. You cannot make yourself the center of the conversation in a debate. As the moderator, you can't do it. And then she was gone from Fox, and she went to NBC, and that show was an unmitigated disaster. And while I think that the reasons that she got pushed out was real garbage from NBC, she was doing things over there that she would now tell you are the worst things in the world. Like the most famous one is what can only be looked like as a celebration of trans kids. Can't celebrate the abuse of children. You can't. It's not okay. There's no place for this. It's like I don't know if you've seen this, where the Democratic candidate for Senate in Texas, his name is Tallarico, James Tallarico, and he is asked on some podcast. I don't even know the name of the podcast. He's asked on a podcast, what do you love? Outside of your family and your friends, what do you love? And he says, well, because they were here yesterday, trans children. What? Who talks like that? Who in the world would say such a thing? Because they're standing up for themselves. So you're saying you're proactively in favor of child abuse? Because if you allow a child to mutilate themselves or take puberty blockers, ruin themselves via chemical castration, that's not love. That is nuts. But the Megyn Kelly and Tucker and what we refer to as this woke right and this anti-Israel agenda madness, I cannot tell you if they're paid or not paid. What I can tell you is that it is absolutely unacceptable. And I'm not going to pay attention to Tucker Carlson. Tell me I can't notice this level of, I guess we would call it hypocrisy. But how about just insanity?
I think U.S. aid, military aid to Israel, and the implied security guarantees, some explicit, but many implied security guarantees of the United States to Israel, probably haven't helped Israel that much long term. You know, it's a rich country with a highly capable population. Like every other country, it's probably best if it makes its decisions based on what it can do by itself. That country couldn't exist without, not for a week, without U.S. backing.
America's supporting Israel because it's an ally.
I don't even know what those words mean. I'm just saying my principle.
They're an ally, right? I mean, they both.
I don't know what that means to be an ally. Qatar is like one of our closest allies in the world. The largest American air base in the Middle East is in Qatar. They're a close ally of ours. Let me get to the nub of the question, since again, a lot is at stake. A lot of money is at stake. Land is very valuable. Israel has a lot of resources. We have a huge country. This is a country the size of New Jersey with no resources. I come to Israel and the infrastructure, we were flying in, and I said to my buddy, I was like, man, first of all, it looks great. I love the agriculture in Israel because it's beautiful. I love green. I love plants.
I remember when it didn't look like that.
Yeah.
First time I came in 53 years ago.
It's great. Israel, which is one of the single ugliest countries in the world. Nothing of beauty has been built there since 1948. Sorry, I've been everywhere in that country, and it's true.
We're only a minute in. A minute 20. How dare you say I shouldn't notice? Bitch, you crazy? Everybody's noticing. Everyone is noticing that you've lost your mind, Tucker. Did I mention I was only a minute 20 in? Okay. All right. We'll do more.
Hamas is group of jihadis. They're Islamic extremists, which they also claim constantly, which I don't know if that's true, by the way. It seems more like a political organization.
Raised some eyebrows this week when you said that Hamas is more like a political organization than a terror group.
I didn't say that.
An attack on Western civilization looks like this. It's tribalism. It's identity politics. It's DEI. It's whatever. It's Zionism. It's any belief system that begins with the understanding that one group is morally superior to other groups.
Well, just on principle, like every other group in the world has the right to its own homeland except white people? Like what?
We don't think in terms of groups as Christians or Westerners. We think in terms of the individual. It's literally that simple.
But as long as some groups have a right to self-determination, then every group has a right. It's that simple.
How dare you think we shouldn't notice? I mean, we're going to notice. By the way, that was compiled by the Milk Bar TV on Twitter X. You can follow them there. I don't know them personally. I don't even think I do follow them, but that's who compiled that. We noticed, Tucker, that you, in just the past few months, have engaged in outrageous contradictions. Why in the world should I listen to you about any of this? The problem is there are people who are indeed listening, and those people are your kids, your grandkids, and you, possibly. 23-year-old men are listening. And that's why you see numbers that 45% of young Americans think that Jews are a threat. We cannot deny when people have influence. You cannot deny when people are able to move a message. What is the message being moved? What I would do is show this, what Milk Bar TV put together in this one. Again, I don't know anything about them at all, but the video doesn't lie. This is Tucker in his own words. These things have to be shared. Why would you follow this guy? I'm not saying someone can't change their mind. But this isn't changing their mind. This is flat out lying in some cases. This is saying whatever needs to be said at the moment because it fits whatever it is they're trying to get done at the moment. And that is not having a philosophical core. That is not having a basis. That is not sharing an idea or, if you will, an ideology. That is engaging in populism and what serves me now. That's what the left does. For the leftist progressive, what they said yesterday will have absolutely no bearing on what they say today, and what they say today will mean absolutely nothing to what they say tomorrow. Won't mean a thing. So we have to ask ourselves what kind of damage is being done by Tucker, not because he believes something, but because as the video shows and as the audio you just heard shows, he doesn't actually believe in anything. That's the problem. If he believed in something and wanted to defend it with a level of consistency, well, that would be one thing. Then we could debate that issue. What am I supposed to debate with a guy who's on every side of the issue depending on the day? Why would anyone trust him? Why would anybody look to him as having value? And I say this knowing that there are a great number of Americans, when he was at Fox, who looked at him as a guy they looked to him as a guy having value. He had value there. He was engaging in conversations nobody else was talking about. And so we are perfectly clear, he was starting news cycles. Tucker's greatest strength was being able to start the news cycle. Because he said it, people were talking about it. That's rare. That is a rare, rare ability. That is real power. He went from that to whatever it is you just heard. That nonsense, that pablum, that crap. And then he says, I don't know why people are after me. No one's after you, but we are noticing. And if you think I can't notice, you're out of your damn mind. So now the question is, what is it we can do about this? Because if a guy like this, now, not the Tucker of then, the Tucker of now, if a guy like this is having sway over you, your kids, your grandkids, you have a responsibility to say out loud, why the hell would you listen to him? He's so full of crap, he can't see straight. He'll take any position, any chance he gets just to satisfy the moment. That's not consistent. You want consistency. In an idea, in a philosophy, now you may go pay, I want to hear what they have to say. I want to hear what they have to say. I want to hear what they have to say. But you engage with the thing that is more consistent with a value. What is the value system he's putting forth here? I shared earlier where he said to Senator Ted Cruz back in that interview about 6 months ago, maybe it was a little bit longer. If we had proof that there were people out there trying to murder the president, we should go after them. And then you have the story about this Pakistani national who had ties to Iran, found guilty of plotting to assassinate politicians and officials, and including President Trump in 2024. We have the reporting from ABC that discusses the fact that there may be sleeper cells being activated right here in the United States. That's the reporting. Iran may be activating sleeper cells outside the country. The encrypted transmission was intercepted by the U.S. I mean, this is what's happening. And Tucker said to Ted Cruz, if they were coming after President Trump, we should bomb them. Well, we know this to be true. So what is your plan? What's your plan? Is it to bomb them? Because that's what we're doing. And you are opposed to it. Why? You said it was the thing to do, and now you're opposed to it, Tucker. Why? But really, you're not going to get a chance to ask Tucker that question. So the people to ask that question are the people in your lives who are quoting him. Kids, grandkids, friends, brothers, sisters, uncles. Why? Where's the core here? Where is the ideological thread, the through line that shows his position and the thoughts behind it? And the answer is it's nowhere. It's nowhere. Is he bought and paid for? I have absolutely no idea. Has he lost his mind? I have absolutely no idea. I'm not about to guess, and I am not about to impugn. I'm going to listen to what he says and say out loud, he isn't saying anything that makes sense at all. He is not consistent. It is not complete. It is not a thought that I would ever put into my mind and say, now that has a value, and I don't think you would either. So why are you still paying attention to him? He's shown you he doesn't want your attention, doesn't deserve your attention. No, he wants it. He just doesn't deserve it. You might want to go over that with the ones you love. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz Today. What else do we have going on? I've got a little bit of Representative Cuellar. I will get to that. Oil prices down a little bit. Yeah. So West Texas crude right now is at $95 a barrel. Brent crude is at 100 even. So wait, so where's the market? No, I mean, the market's down 440. So we will see. See what else is going on. Leave that there. Leave that there. And that there. Right on to coming back in a minute. Okay. Let me go to the comments right here. Jessica, it's very kind of you. Thank you. I get the opportunity to be on Newsmax a bunch. I don't work there. I've been asked that before. Am I a contributor? I'm not actually a contributor. I think I'd be a fool if I got offered the opportunity to not take it. But if asked what I want to do, what I really want to do is direct. I'd actually like to do a show, but I don't want to do like the standard show. But I do enjoy being on Newsmax. I get to do the stuff on N2 with like national update and stuff. I get do a lot with Carl Higbee. It's a good time. Let me get back to the radio. So this LA Marathon story has got a lot of people worked up. I agree with you that we live in a world of weak people and weak minds. And you say to me, Tony, you couldn't run a marathon. And I would say to you, yeah, you're right about that. Tony Katz today, you're right about that. But a marathon is 26.2 miles. Ask the Greeks. And the LA Marathon, gearing up, and it was going to be a high of 84 degrees. Okay. Now, I lived in Los Angeles for a while. I lived in the Valley. Trust me, it got hotter than 84 degrees. So what they said is that if you're having a tough day, oh, dear Lord, and you want to end your race before 26.2, meaning 26.2 miles, you can choose to take the turn at mile 18 and head into the finish line early. You don't need to tell anyone about the decision, just take a detour. And if you look for the signage, you'll be able to do this. You will still receive your finisher medal and any challenge medal you've earned. And your official race results will be updated at a later date to reflect your time and mileage. There is no shame in making a smart decision for your body. I agree. That's why I eat steak. Steak. Delicious. Right? It's the old Saturday Night Live bit with John Belushi. I've had little chocolate donuts at my training table for years. If you need to make the smart decision for your body and not finish the marathon, okay. You didn't finish. Why the hell would you get a finisher's medal? Why would you ever deserve a finisher's medal? That's for people who finish. You didn't finish. No crime in that. No shame in that. Hey, you're good, boo-boo. No medal for you. No soup for you. No medal for you. No. It's embarrassing. You don't get a finisher's medal. You don't even get like a 2/3 medal. You get like a thanks for showing up. Hope you enjoyed the jog medal. The people who are looking at this and laughing out loud, those people are right. This is silly. This is Tony Katz today. Some people want to finish your medal and cut the course. Happens more than you might think. It could happen every day for all I know in every marathon that's ever existed. I'm just saying, if the people who organize the marathon say it's okay not to finish and we'll still give you a medal, That's messed up. That's all I'm saying. All right. Let me get this together. This is my this is the whiteboard right here. It's not on that side. I've got a hole right there. I don't know when that happened. I don't know what happened right here. I'm just not sure. I can't. That. I don't know. Now it looks like Pac-Man right there at the bottom. I don't know what happened there. Okay. So I'm looking for there's a whole bunch of stuff that I haven't gotten to that I need to get to. And I'm like, I got to write it down. Because if I don't write it down, I'm not going to remember. Oh, there was this poll. There was this NBC poll that talks about popularity. This thing is, let me see if I can bring it up for you right here. So this was nutty. There it is. Actually, I put that there. Get rid of that there and there. Okay. So this was this NBC poll that somebody had posted. This is March 2026, and it's got approval, disapproval on a whole host of things. But there was this is positive, negatives on Trump. So you can see this top line, March 2026, the negatives are 47. The positives, very positives, are 29. So overall, it's a 41 and 6% neutral. So it's a 53-41, right? So that's how it comes to be. But there was this, and it goes through all these different people, and then here it is. So I will get to this on air. If you want to stare at that for a second, this is nutty. Where the positives and negatives are. You know what? I'm going to save it. You don't get to look at it anymore. I'm going to save it. Give it a big surprise. And then I'll get into Mamdani and his Jew-hating spouse. She is what she is. Not going to be told I can't talk about it. Not interested if people are happy. Nope. Not in the slightest. She is gross, and so is he. Okay, so let's see. Just getting it all together because there's a lot here. All right. Got it together. Three more things to get to. Tony Katz today. These are stories that you have heard some about. You need to hear more about, of course. War is dominating. Oil prices are dominating, but there are some other stories that do require your attention. Let's start where we start. Did you hear about this guy who evaded ICE by running into a school? We're in a level of absolutely insane here. So there's this guy who's a known agitator. He is a known ICE agitator. This is what he does, a social media influencer. God almighty. I swear, if I'm ever known as a social media influencer, just, I don't know what to do. I don't know what, but it's probably some kind of violence that needs to be thrust upon me. You know, like the expression where you just punch me in the face, but someone's gonna be like, "Oh, I can't wait to punch him in the face," and then I don't know if I want to be punched in the face because I haven't seen how big the check is. Social media influencers make some loot. They make some coin. Well, this social media influencer, his claim to fame, Arturo Gonzalez, is instigating with ICE, going at ICE, disrupting ICE, Immigration's Customs Enforcement. That's what he does. He wants to be famous. So he is quite literally walking in front of the vehicles of ICE agents, trying to stop them. And he's screaming, "Don't blanking hit me. I'm in public. I can stand any place I want." So he's one of those guys. Well, he is blocking traffic, so agents get out of the vehicle, and they're like, "Hey, come here. You're blocking traffic." So he starts running. And while he's running, he's screaming, "They're after me. They're after me. NEM, Toto," like he's out of his head. And to get away from ICE, he ran into a school, King Chavez High School. He runs into the school, into the gate, and says, "Can you let me in? Can you let me in?" And he gets met by the school principal, Desi Sullivan. Sullivan says to him, after seemingly letting him in, did not scream, "You have to get out of here. You're not allowed in a school. Can you just back off? I need to keep kids safe." And she let him in to the actual school and said, "Go inside." It's not enough to fire the principal and to take away the pension. The principal needs to go to jail for child endangerment. You have no idea who this guy is. You have no idea why he's running. You have no clue. You just determined what? ICE bad, so this is okay? Fired, pension taken, jailed. Child endangerment. I'm told that when you are a parent, it's somehow wrong to allow your children to try alcohol even for a religious ceremony. That could be a problem. No, this is a problem. With your kids, you do what you will. I'm not saying you should get your kids drunk. That's not what I said. I'm saying that this is endangerment. Crazy story. Let's start with the fact that this guy is just he spends his day antagonizing ICE. That's a very weird way to spend your day. Very weird. Then there is this polling. NBC News. NBC News has this polling of popularity and positives and negatives. And it was it was in March of 2026. I don't remember the days right now. And it goes through a whole host of people. It's a fascinating list. Pope Leo XIV, Stephen Colbert, Marco Rubio, and then Trump, Vance, Republicans, Democrats, everything. Pope Leo has a total positive of 42 and a total negative of 8. So he is seen positively by Americans. Stephen Colbert has a 35-25. He is seen positively by Americans. Clearly, none of us were polled. Then it gets to Marco Rubio, and you're starting to get to the negatives. Positive to negative, 34-41. So he is 7 below, is Marco Rubio. Sanctuary cities are 10 below. J.D. Vance is 11 below, tied with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Trump is 12 points underwater, as we discussed, 53-41. So Trump is in the middle ground there, underwater, 53-41 in his popularity. Just under Ocasio-Cortez and J.D. Vance. The Republican Party is 14 points underwater, 51 negative, 37 positive. Kamala Harris is 17 points underwater, 51 negative, 34 positive. Gavin Newsom is 18 points underwater. ICE is 18 points underwater. ICE and Gavin Newsom, the same level of popularity. It gets better. The final three. AI is 26 positive, 46 negative, so they're 20 points under. The Democratic Party is 30 positive, 52 negative. That's negative 22. The only thing below the Democratic Party is Iran, coming in at 8 positive, 61 negative for a 53 underwater. That is amazing. Amazing. People have more faith in AI than the Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party ranks better than Iran just by luck. Sorry. It's terrific. Maybe the reason for the Democratic Party's total lack of love is that they're not a Democratic Party. This is the socialist, communist, let's destroy Western civilization party. And the people are still talking about, the good things that can be done, should be done. Those Democrats are few and far between. This is Representative Henry Cuellar, Democrat out of Texas, who Democrats really wanted to get rid of because he favors border security. Sorry about that. Wasn't playing right on my end. I think it was playing right for you. Listen.
47 years, Iran has been at war with the United States. Both Democratic and Republican presidents have seen this over 47 years, but it was President Trump that decided to take action. We can't forget that the Iranians have killed American soldiers. We cannot forget that they target American citizens in our land. And finally, we took some action, and it's the right thing to do.
So you have Democrats out there who haven't lost their minds. Henry Cuellar and I would disagree about a million things. John Fetterman, Senator Fetterman, and I would disagree about a million things. But there are some places where there are Democrats who still believe that we should actually protect the nation. Then there's Zoran Mamdani and his wife. And yes, his wife is a subject here. We start with these protesters who threw IEDs at other protesters. So there was a group out there called Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City, run by some activist by the name of Jake Lang. I've never heard the name until I read the story, and I haven't had a chance to look into the dude. He's out there with like 20 demonstrators protesting. Out comes another protest with 125 people, and in that other protest, there's an 18-year-old who lights an incendiary device and throws it at the other protesters. So whether you agree or disagree with the protesters is meaningless. These people have free speech. They're allowed to go out there and protest. This group of people doesn't like what another group of people has to say, so they light an IED and throw it. Now, you say to me, Tony, you don't know it was a bomb. The New York Police Department bomb squad conducted preliminary analysis of a device that was ignited and deployed at a protest yesterday and has determined that it is not a hoax device or a smoke bomb. It is, in fact, an improvised explosive device that could have caused serious injury or death. We also know that this guy is inspired by ISIS. We know from his statement to law enforcement now, he made utterances spontaneously, captured on NYPD officers' body-worn camera footage. This isn't a religion that just stands when people talk about the blessed name of the prophet. We take action. And if I didn't do it, someone else will come and do it. And then wrote, all praise is due to Allah, Lord of all worlds. I pledge my allegiance to the Islamic State, Die in your rage, and then some other words of the language I don't know. Based on my training and experience, I know that kafar, that's one of the words he used, is an Arabic term that refers to non-believers or infidels, and that die in your rage, which is another term this guy used, is a slogan used by ISIS based on a verse in the Quran. And when asked if he was familiar with the Boston Marathon bombing, he responded that he had hoped to accomplish that, but even bigger, because that was only 3 deaths. This is an ISIS-inspired terrorist attack on American citizens. That's what this was. We knew that before. And what does a local state senator say? New York is no place for anti-Muslim hate. There was no anti-Muslim hate. This was Islamists trying to kill Americans because they hate. How did NBC report it? Multiple arrests made after suspicious devices found outside Gracie Mansion. It wasn't a suspicious device found outside Gracie Mansion. It was a lit IED thrown at protesters by Islamists. And we knew some of this at the time. We heard screams, and the video is clear, of Allahu Akbar. And yet media wants you to believe that this was just some random incident. And when asked about it, Zoran Mamdani, the despicable mayor of New York,
I'd like to know what your reaction was to the article in the Jewish Insider that was posted about your wife's social media activity.
I'm sorry, this is a different clip, because his wife cheered October 7th, and his wife said that the rapes, that was just a hoax. Oh, I was going to get into this later. No. Mamdani said that it's just so wrong that this white supremacist was engaging in violence. That guy who started the original protester might very well be a white supremacist for all I know. I have no idea who the dude is. But that's not the story. Zoran Mamdani just calling somebody a white supremacist because he doesn't like him. Who cares? The story is that they're inspired by ISIS. They're lighting IEDs and throwing it at American citizens. That's the story. And Mamdani and the Democratic Party, they don't want you to talk about that. We have to do something about this. We have to do something about Islamists. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz today. Just trying to get something done here. And it's making my life difficult. I do not know why it is doing that. There we go. Almost done. There we go. Perfection. Moving right along with that. All right. What have I missed from the comments? Let me put that back up right there. I got asked a question. I don't know where it was. Dang it. Sorry about that. Thought I had it. I do not have it. There we go. There's that. Boom, boom. Excellent, Smithers. All right. Let's get back to the show. By the way, the latest on that story I was just talking about with Mamdani is when CBS did the story about the bomb being thrown. They showed a picture while they were talking about it. They showed a picture of Trump supporters. You don't hate the media enough? And Barry Weiss, you're not done. You got a lot of work to do, Barry, in fixing that organization. All right, let's get back to the radio show. So the Iranian women's soccer team was in Australia for something called the Asian Cup. Okay, I don't know everything that happens, but I guess this happens in soccer. And that tournament started as the U.S. and Israel launched the airstrikes on Iran. Tony Katz today. So the team got eliminated from the competition. And now they have to go back home. And some of them are like, we don't want to go back home. Some are like very worried about their families. They're worried about threats if they don't return, which we have seen happen, in the case of Chinese athletes and others. But there was this thought that the Australians are saying, sorry, you got to go now. And Trump started talking, discussing Australia is making a terrible humanitarian mistake by allowing the Iranian national women's soccer team to be forced back to Iran, where they will most likely be killed. The U.S. will take them if you won't. Now, wait a second. I don't know who any of these women are. Nor do I know if they're going to be killed, but I can appreciate that there's real concern. Then the next thing you know, he speaks to the prime minister there, who's Anthony Albanese. And he's on it. 5 have already been taken care of, and the rest are on their way. I don't know what would become of them, and I don't know what threats were given. I do know that if threats are given, if you don't return home, We're not done ending the Iranian regime. So why don't we get done with that? My take. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. There was the question, Tony. Tony in the chat. Why was Israel bombing the oil? I had argued that the answer to how you break the IRGC is to stop the money, and you stop the money by stopping the oil and hitting the oil fields. What I think the Israelis said is we're going to hit the oil stores. The fields can replace those stores and those storage centers. The oil can still be drilled and pumped, but you now prevent their ability to sell it or black market it, use it, everything else, and you create more hardship and more cracking of the IRGC. That would be my take. That would be my take as to why they were hit. That's where I would be in all this. I think that suffices. I appreciate you guys very, very much. The show continues. I also have my conversation with where do I have this? I spoke with the Consul General to the Midwest. That was yesterday. Of Sunday, Elad Strohmeyer. And so that interview is coming up at WIBC.com. The video of that interview, I'll have that up today as well. So to get an idea of how the Israelis are taking a look at things. And also I've got a little bit of JD Vance that I want to get to. So that's all coming up at WIBC.com. You want to make sure that you're tuned in there. I appreciate you guys tremendously. Don't forget to subscribe on the YouTubes. I would appreciate it if you would subscribe there and go to TonyKatz.com. It's all there for you. Everything you need is always there at TonyKatz.com. Guys, appreciate you. I will catch you tomorrow. Have fun. Be good. Eat your vitamins. Say your prayers.